With the rapid rise of agentic AI and its adoption by everyday users, not just enterprises, serious security concerns are starting to surface. A big reason for this is the sudden popularity of OpenClaw over the past few days. What is OpenClaw? OpenClaw is marketed as an AI agent that can manage your digital life. You interact with it through apps it has access to, like WhatsApp, Telegram, email, and more. Now, the pitch is compelling: AI that actually does things. Some even describe it as a junior employee working on your behalf. What really accelerated OpenClaw's popularity were widely shared anecdotes that made the promise of AI agents for individuals like you and me feel very real. One example that circulated heavily was a restaurant booking workflow, and it's worth paying attention to how it succeeded. The user initially asked OpenClaw to make a reservation via web using OpenTable. That attempt failed. Instead of stopping or asking for manual intervention, the agent autonomously adapted. It downloaded and configured a voice agent, placed a phone call to the restaurant, spoke to a human, and completed the reservation end to end. The second anecdote that resonated strongly with developers involved a request to vibe code an application overnight. The agent was given high level intent, access to local development environment, and permission to execute tasks. By morning, it had scaffolded an app, written and modified files, and iterated across multiple steps, behaving less like a chatbot and more like an unsupervised junior engineer. Now, these stories spread quickly because they crossed a psychological threshold. This wasn't AI responding to prompts anymore. This was AI making decisions and taking actions. And while that capability is compelling, it also highlights why agentic systems like OpenClaw introduce an entirely new security calculus. Herein lies the problem. It stores your conversation history, it stores your API credentials, your passwords, and sensitive context. From a security perspective, this isn't just an assistant, it's an AI agent with near root access to your operating system. That's why some have even described it as an info stealer malware in disguise. Now, OpenClaw is designed to interact with the outside world. Its own documentation recommends tunneling traffic through services like Cloudflare, which effectively means exposing your home network to the internet. When an open source project like this isn't properly secured, predictable problems emerge. Now, researchers and security firms identified several immediate risks in OpenClaw's code base and its operational processes. The first one was the local host authentication bypass. The gateway's authentication logic trusted all local host connections by default. This created a major flaw for users running OpenClaw behind a reverse proxy, which is a common setup so that you could access it from the outside. Because the proxy traffic was treated as local, requiring no authentication to access credentials, conversation history, and command execution. The second one is prompt injection, which I have spoken about on my channel many times. Because LLMs cannot reliably distinguish between user instructions and external content, attackers can exploit this through prompt injection. For example, a researcher demonstrated that sending a single malicious email to a OpenClaw instance with email integration enabled allowed them to gain a private key and full control of the system in under 5 minutes. The next is its unvetted plugin marketplace. OpenClaw also has a plugin slash skills marketplace, similar in concept to Cloud Code, but with no meaningful vetting or moderation. All downloaded skills are treated as trusted code. So, in theory, an attacker can upload a malicious skill, artificially inflate its popularity, trick users into installing it, and then gain execution inside a highly privileged agent. This is a classic supply chain attack, now supercharged by agent permissions. Now, the biggest problem isn't just bugs, it's the architecture. Traditional computer security is built around containment and least privilege. Agentic AI breaks that model by design. To be useful, an agent needs hands and feet. It needs to read files, it needs to access credentials, it needs to execute shell commands, it needs to act across apps and services. That means punching holes through security boundaries that took decades to establish. A powerful agent requires broad permissions, but those permissions create a massive attack surface. If you sandbox the agent to make it safe, it often loses access to the very tools like emails, calendars, messaging apps that make it valuable. That tension, capability versus containment, is the unsolved problem at the heart of agentic AI security. Will I be installing OpenClaw anytime soon? Probably not. But one thing is for sure, the new era of agentic AI assistance is here and it's here to stay. Thanks for watching.